Hi everybody, Daman Mehta here, and welcome back to joining my journey of me going through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. You know the story. I've sorted my list by publication date, and I'm going back from the oldest to the newest, rereading them to see if they still deserve to stay on my list or not. So, without further ado, let's hop right in with The Idiot's Guide to Foiling Alien Invasions. I am so sorry. The Idiot's Guide to Foiling Alien Invasions by NetGirly2K. So, this is a Doctor Who fic that is written and kind of just works as if it's a episode, but it focuses on two people that are not Doctor Who or either of his companions. It's a pretty dumb plot. That's part of the joke that it's not super difficult to stop an alien invasion because not all aliens are smart and some of the plots are really stupid. And there's a lot of references to the Doctor Who continuity and a lot of running gags. It was fun enough. That was basically it. I had no problems reading this. I thought it was fine, but I never have to read this again. Maybe I just stopped caring about Doctor Who after a while. I did get that, my friends watched it when I was in college, so I got into it, and I watched from the 9th Doctor to most of Smith, which is the 11th, but maybe I just don't care anymore. If you like Mickey and Jackie from the 9th Doctor's run, because those two are the main characters, then you'll love this story. But honestly, it just felt like one of the more forgettable episodes, so I just didn't really care. And yeah, it's gonna fall off my list. Moving on, we have Laying the Smakethdown Uzumaki Style by Vesvius. And this is basically just a collection of snippets where Naruto acts way more obnoxious than usual because he happened across a set of tapes of WWE wrestling and has decided to adopt their personas as his fighting technique, and it's amazing. All these are all basically parody tributes of wrestling personas. I used to be into wrestling a lot when I was a kid, and I still find their manner and stuff super ridiculous, and it works really well with Naruto's brand of ridiculousness. I love it. It's super over the top and crazy. I find it to be really funny. It's going to stay on my list. Now, another comedic Naruto fic is Why the Hokage Drinks by DrivvenWrinth. And it's a joke. It's a super short joke that's based on an email joke, a joke that was emailed around to a lot of people, which is actually attached. That joke is added to the end of this story, so you can see what it's referencing and why it's there. It is kind of meta stupid in that the reason why the joke occurs is a lot less consequential than or at least a lot less sympathetic. But it's weird. It's stupid. It's a fine joke, but you really just don't really need to read it more than once, and I'm never gonna read this again. So yeah, it falls off my list. More Naruto here with Vis-a-Vis by Reaper Nanashi. And this is a rewrite of one of the fics that was on my list as well, called Door Number 2. And it follows a very similar idea, but basically the starting point is similar, but then as the lore and knowledge starts going, it expands very different ways. If the main premise was that Naruto gets like injured or something in his reality, and his body's like comatose, and then he wakes up in a different reality where like he's not he's not like the demon container. His father's still alive and still Hokage and stuff like that, and he's just like trying to get back, but also wondering what's going on. So it's again similar to that. One difference being the Naruto that he was supposed to replace is actually in his body, and so we get scenes in the normal Naruto verse with him there. We still get the point of view still swaps between the fourth Hokage and Naruto consistently. And once again, I like the dives into both their characters, both their psyches. Both Naruto and the fourth Hokage seem to have like an inner voice that is just exists to like screw with them as like a mental illness, which are aptly named anxiety for the fourth Hokage, and like I think it was just sarcasm for Naruto. And yeah, just seeing how the people react with this new normal and seeing everybody grow and the original Naruto's interaction with his new family and stuff, I just liked it a lot. I thought it was really interesting, and I honestly enjoyed this more than the original. Once again, it just cut off eventually and it didn't continue, but I still enjoy this a lot, and yeah, it's gonna stay on my list. Now we head over to Evangelion with Neon Genesis Evangelion Red Moon Rising by Sociopathic Antichrist. Oh my god. Some people's names. Oh jeez. So like apparently Shinji has some kind of psychological disorder. I don't know. And it makes him changes him from an indecisive and timid, waif into an upfront, forceful asshole who apparently is still like self-conscious and but he hides it behind a personality that's very much fuck you and in your face. And he's also an Evangelion whisperer. He can just like talk to Unit 01 and all the evil units as well. Whatever. So this is complete. That's a plus. It's finished. It tends to follow very similar structure to the actual anime and like episodic wise. Like I actually think it was basically each episode's worth of content was a chapter, so like they end at like exactly the same points, so it's pretty easy to follow in that sense. One of the things that felt a little weird was there was a lot of conversations that happened early on that seemed to require future knowledge, and not in the sense that like, oh, they know this just because they're smart, but things like, oh, like Shinji and Ritsuko talking about like, oh, the prog knife's going to be useless because of how fast the angels are evolving every single time and all this, and how long is this going to be useful. It's like, and this is happening right after the first angel fight. You fought one angel. How do you know anything about them evolving? Why would you even think they'd evolve? You don't know anything. Like, it seemed out of place, and like it was never explained why they would think that or anything like that. It just felt weird. The characters' relationships in regards to Shinji also felt really odd. Basically, not the fact that everybody hates him, that I got, because he's an asshole. His persona is a full force asshole to basically everybody. But one things that I didn't get was like, the bridge techs are like, oh my god, he's a bad person because look how violent he is when he's attacking this thing that's going to wipe out all of humanity. Yeah, he's so violent when he's doing that. He must be a bad person. Like, what the fuck? That's priorities, woman. Because that's Maya, but like it's stupid. Another issue was like Rei, in the sense that like she basically falls in love with Shinji very, very quickly. And okay, that's not the issue. The issue is that Ritsuko and Gendo don't seem to care. they just let this go on while this is all, and like just everybody is perfectly fine with it. That should not be happening like at all. And according to like the scenario and everything, you know, Gendo should be super controlling, and probably, and it's like that. It just felt really weird and out of character. You know, if the tone of the actual story was a little different and shifted into so it was like, okay, this is a slightly different, more of a different world than canon was, maybe it'd be more understandable, because like, okay, maybe there's some other hit going on why he's letting it go forward. But this basically just feels like canon with the one change, and that means that Gendo should not be allowing Rei's relationship with Shinji at all. Yeah, so that felt weird. Yeah, but in the end, overall, I was really bored reading this. Nothing really stood out in a good way. I didn't really care about the characters, and honestly, everyone else's reactions to them also, because you don't get dives into the other people. The only inner monologues you hear are Shinji's, really. You don't really see the others, and so everybody just comes across as an asshole. And there's no likable characters that I found really in this story, and it just became really boring reading. I would not recommend this, and yeah, it's gonna be kicked off my list. And now we go to my other, you know, super love, Harry Potter, with Insidious Inquisitor by Yunain. And surprise, this is a fic where Umbridge is actually a likable character. Basically, during one of the detentions, Umbridge actually doses Harry with truth serum, and a bunch of statements get released that leave a lot of things in doubt, and basically unmakes all of evil Dumbledore's machinations, and gives Harry a pair of girlfriends, you know? Because, yeah, that works. Everything gets wrapped up pretty quickly. It's not too long, and, you know, moves at a fast enough pace. Lots of betrayals that differ from some of the usual suspects. I didn't mind reading it, and yeah, it's okay, and you know, things wrap, like I said, it finishes, it resolves. But I don't need to see this ever again. You know, it's fine. You can check it out if you want, but nothing spectacular. So it's just it's a good like 7 out of 10, I'd say. Something you can read and not feel bad about reading, but you don't have to come back to. It's gonna fall off my list. Now we come back to Nanjan with Two Heads Are Better Than One, another Harry Potter fic, where basically Fred and George cast a spell during, I believe, the 5th year. Yeah, 5th year. Which basically makes all the penises in Hogwarts start talking. And it's just followed by a shit ton of innuendo and sexual humor, climaxing in a glorious explosion of white goo. Like, I think I've proven by now with my stories that I have very low standards in humor, that I laugh at basically everything, and I laugh my ass off when reading this fic, and the climax especially, the ending is really funny in my opinion. If you enjoy dirty jokes, you know, give this a shot. I love this a lot. The final fic for this video is another Harry Potter one called Elda Kundu Kurutar, A Wizard's Tale by Jess S1. And this is Harry Potter crossed over with Lord of the Rings. And so, like, on his 15th birthday, Harry makes a wish on a birthday cake, and apparently the magic sends him to the world of Lord of the Rings. And he gets met by the elf, Galadriel, I believe her name is, and she adopts him because, like, he also learns that he does not age in that world, so he can fake being an elf, but he's still a wizard. And it, you know, then it just follows him as he goes around and does stuff in that world. On the writing side, it's written fine. Like, the actual dialogue and plot progression makes sense and is perfectly fine, but in formatting, I really dislike how this writer decided to write Elvish, like the language. Most of the time, the dialogue in Elvish is in like italics, and that's fine. If they just wrote like, okay, italicized means Elvish, like a lot of people do that for different things. Like italicized means parcel tongue a lot of the time, or things like that. It's just like it denotes something different. And you know, if that was it, that would be fine. But then you end up. But what this writer likes to do is to sprinkle in the few actual Elvish words that they know into it. You know, like a lot of people complain about like Naruto, when you just sprinkle in Japanese words in there just to prove that, oh yeah, I know Japanese. That's basically what this is. And one, it's irritating for me because I don't know the language of the elves, whatever. But also because how this writer decides to explain that fact is like they will write out the translations. They're at the end of the chapter, but they're also at the end of that sentence. So you'll be like, it'll be like in quotes like, oh, like, how are you doing, Onotori? And like, said Galadriel, my son. Like, wait, what? Like, and that's because my son is the translation of whatever the hell the Elvish word was, but it's just like put there with just as extra text. There's no parentheses, no italicized or anything. So it's just really weird from just reading it in a visual sense. I really wish he would have just written everything in English and just italicized everything. It would have been much easier to read. Aside from that, you know, that's just it's a pet peeve, but it's a big one because especially with the early on, there's a lot of Elvish dialogue where that happens. Aside from that, the main thing that this reminded me of was the second Hobbit movie. Not in terms of content, because this all takes place long before the actual plot of the books occurs. But so when I watched the second Hobbit movie, the second Hobbit movie is like 2.5 hours long, and the last hour is basically the hobbits going to the smog and dealing with that. But the first hour and a half, quite a lot happens. Like that's the fact. Like they're constantly moving from place to place. Things are happening. Conversations occur. You know, they meet up with the elf. Elf puts them in jail. They escape. They go down river rafting. They go here. They meet this bog town. This happens. This, like, a lot of stuff happens, and I did not. Like, I found myself so bored while I was watching it. I almost fell asleep watching this movie when that was happening. And that similar feeling happened here. A lot of stuff happens, and it'll feel like, so like it's moving and like a lot of things are happening, but at the same time the story feels like it's not progressing at all, or that it's moving really, really slowly. And it's odd, you know. And as I kept writing, I was like, okay, I know why I got this. Because as I kept writing, I keep saying, like, I don't like this story, and I don't get it. It's not super investive. It's fine, I'm just not caring. And I think the reason I added it into my list, which I've done for a couple others as well, is just I was like, okay, this guy's writing is obviously very good, and he's written a lot, and okay, this takes some kind of talent, so I respect it. Like, I respect it more than I like it, if that makes sense. And I respect, not only do I respect the writing, but I respect what he was trying to do. And if it doesn't continue, sadly, it stops in the middle of those, like, basically the second real arc that he was doing. But yeah, I just found it to be really uninteresting as a story. And remember, like I said, this happens way before the events of the book, Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. So, like, unless you really, really like the world that Tolkien built, and like seeing like Harry fight in Gondor with wars and stuff that you know has no relevance to the Hobbit because it ended and everything was done way beforehand, you're really not going to like this, because you're not going to have things to grab onto or latch onto. There's no Legolas or, you know, Aragorn. None of that's there. So yeah, this was just uninteresting to me, and it's gonna fall off my list. And that's gonna end this video. So that brings us up to 242 stories read and 134 knocked off my list. Honestly, like, looking at it, I feel like I might have miscounted at some point, but that's the numbers that I have to go with right now, so I'm gonna stick with it. Yeah, it's still going. 10 more days until a year-long anniversary since I started this journey, so I'll try to have a video on that day. Main thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hit at least 250 by it, because, you know, it's way off from my original thing of one story a day, but shit happens. We'll see. If you like this video, please leave a like or comment. Links for these stories are in the description. If you want to read this and see the journey, like, if you want to see the whole journey visually, or, like, you know, I mean, you could just listen, really. I have links to the playlist. I also have a link to the forum thread where I'm also writing this out, so you can see it there if you want. If you want to be up to date when I do this, please subscribe. I try to do these videos still once a week, so we'll see that. And other than that, I will catch you all next time. So, goodbye. Thank you for watching.